So here is why I'm niching further down into healthcare analytics for all the community and for the Get a Data Job channel. We're going to dive into all of the research and all of the things that I've been thinking through and then honing in on the details and my reasoning why. So let's jump directly into it. My name is Jeff. I'm an outdated Fortune 500 healthcare analyst that is trying to stay ahead in the world of AI. So I'm rebuilding and modernizing my skill set and just trying not to get replaced by people who are staying ahead and being more productive with AI. So this is this channel. We're inside my analyst dungeon, which is my garage, and we're figuring it out as I build and work towards upskilling and doing various things to just stay ahead and be relevant. So one of the things I was thinking about was I wanted to figure out what is the single thing that I should be focusing on, right? So the single thing that I've been thinking about focusing on, if we just bring this over, there's a bunch of things to do. There's stuff to do for the community. I could record the 30-day program or the program that took people who wanted to break into data analytics from scratch into getting their first job or getting experience first. Or I could go and figure out there's been a few concepts I've been mulling over in my head and I wanted to hash out the framework specifically. So for people who are familiar with Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Work Week, and how he does meta learning and figures out the way to skill hack various things. With AI currently, there are a lot of different ways to skill hack AI and then data science and data analytics skills to learn it faster than what we would previously do. And I've been experimenting with things, so I wanted to hash out how to teach that. And that was like the second day. And then the next one was build a healthcare app, at least the framework, so that I could apply that because I need to start building things within my current day job. So I was wondering if I could just start getting like the bare bones knowledge, work through building AI from scratch. I'm thinking of making like a new series where it's code with AI, but it's like on the technical side of coding and isn't just vibe coding or isn't just no code. So a little bit more technical using Cursor or Claude Code, and then learning as we go. And you can just see me struggle through everything. So that's like a new video series I'll probably come up with eventually and test that out here before the main channel. And then also for just going over my mental map for everything. What am I planning to do? What is the plan and the structure of like how I'm upskilling, the side hustles, and then also how am I trying to get transformations and results for the people and members inside the community. So those are all the things I was thinking about. And then 5 was build a comment scraper. Do that in Python, do it here because one of the things that's happening with the main channel is it's hard to stay relevant in this saturated niche of how to become a data analyst with established channels already with more experience. So one of the things was I need to figure out better ways of figuring out what people want in terms of content and then be able to build out that content. One of the things I saw was build out a comment scraper. I've done this through Python and then I was like, might as well try to do it again and see if I can build it out so it's easier for me to just put in someone's channel. It'll scrape out, pull out all the videos, and then I can have it use AI to go through all of the comments and then pull out the top questions that I could create video ideas off of. And then put on my own twist and be able to answer all those questions. So I was thinking about building that so that I can create more content. And then the biggest thing now was why don't I just ask AI? Let's just let's just ask AI. That is the simplest and the easiest. And then that led me down probably a 3 hour hole of research and like narrowing things down, overthinking, mental masturbation. I need to take more action than just talking about it, but then this helps me niche down and strategize when I need to. It's just as long as I don't overdo it and then I add more action for today than working with AI and then just not really doing anything. So I had ChatGPT on the side here and it was going great until I realized I hit a limit. it's using the 4.0 mini now. So I'm gonna bring in ChatGPT, but I'm gonna give a few warnings. Is ChatGPT 4.0 mini, the model that it's using after I hit the limit, it's a lot more dry and a lot more boring. So know that this is not what ChatGPT will sound like if you're using the voice model. And yeah, it's significantly better than this, but it's one of those things that we could just ask. I don't think a ChatGPT has access to, or this model has access to everything. So I'm gonna see what it says. We'll bring it in, and then I'm gonna see what it says currently, and see if it comes up with the same answer. So let's see. Hey GPT, say hi to YouTube. We're going to be going and talking about this inside the video. My first question for you is, what is my single focus going forward? That is not my question. My question is, I say hi to the audience first while I look for this right now.
Absolutely. Hey, YouTube, it's great to have you all here. We're diving into some exciting updates and focusing on that big pivot going forward. So take your time, and whenever you're ready, we'll jump right into it and explore that single focus and everything it entails.
Okay, I think I found it. So the question was, what is the single thing that I need to focus on right now that'll move me significantly forward compared to everything else to all my goals?
Perfect. So that's a solid question. It really helps to narrow down your focus and ensure you're putting your energy where it counts. So as we dive into that, we can really unpack what that single focus is and how it aligns with your long-term goals. Just let me know when you're ready, and we'll get into all the details.
I'm ready now. Can you give me your suggestion?
Absolutely. For that question, we can frame it in a way that's both compelling and actionable. One suggestion might be something like the single focus that will accelerate my healthcare analytics journey, or how one key focus will transform my career and business. This way, it highlights both the importance of that focus and the impact it'll have on your goals. We can also weave in the idea of how this shift aligns with the broader trends in AI and healthcare. Let me know if that resonates, and you can refine it even further.
So are you saying my single focus should be on my pivot into healthcare analytics?
Yes, exactly. The idea is to zero in on that pivot as your core focus, especially since it aligns with both your long term goals and the evolving landscape of AI in healthcare. By making that pivot your single focus, you'll be able to channel your energy and resources into creating impactful content and solutions that resonate with your audience and help healthcare professionals navigate this shift. It's definitely a powerful focus that can drive your business and career forward.
Okay, can you dive into the specifics? Give more context to our audience. Act as an elite business coach and mentor, and then also give your suggestions and show all your reasoning of why you think this is my single focus moving forward and why it's going to be the biggest leap and best use of my time.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the specifics. The reason why pivoting into healthcare analytics and AI is such a powerful single focus for you is multifaceted. First, the healthcare industry is experiencing a massive transformation due to AI and automation. This shift means there's a growing demand for professionals who can bridge the gap between data and healthcare. By focusing on this area, you position yourself at the forefront of a rapidly evolving field, which is a huge advantage. Second, your background in data analytics, automation, and AI uniquely qualifies you to help healthcare professionals navigate this transformation. You're not just teaching them the technical skills, you're also helping them apply these tools in a way that's practical and impactful in their specific domain. And third, this focus aligns perfectly with your long-term vision of building a scalable, impactful business. It allows you to create content, products, and services that meet a growing need, ensuring that your work remains relevant and in demand. Finally, by focusing on healthcare analytics, you're tapping into a niche that's not only growing, but also has a profound impact on people's lives. This adds a layer of purpose and fulfillment to your work, making it not just a strategic move, but also a meaningful one. In summary, focusing on this pivot is the best use of your time because it leverages your expertise, meets a growing market demand, and aligns with your long-term goals. It's a strategic, impactful, and future-proof direction that will propel both your business and your career.
Okay. I muted GPT. One of the things that you'll notice is GPT's slow. GPT one of the things I've been using GPT for with the voice function specifically is when I'm driving and I need to iterate through stuff and just think through stuff. It's been one of the most game-changing things recently. It's not going to be as good as if you're prompting by itself and being able to be inside your various projects and have threads, because if you try to prompt in like a huge thread and it needs all to reference all of the context that you have in that thread, what I found is it just closes because it gets too overwhelmed. With this GPT specifically, it's a mini version of the 4.0 model that it's using, so it's slow. You can hear by like the way that it pauses, and then even just the tonality is significantly better in 4. I wish I could show everybody what that sounds like and how helpful it is. But at the very least, it still called out the single focus that I've been making and just been thinking about, and was healthcare analytics. Yeah. Healthcare analytics. So one of the things that it mentioned, and I've been prompting and then researching and then just thinking about this over the past few days, outside of trying to help one of our community members, is pivoting specifically in healthcare analytics. This was one of those things that in the moment now, like looking back on it, it makes sense because I've been in healthcare for 13 years. I started in two very niche departments. When I was doing data entry, it was for, and I became the data analyst at that company. It was for a very specific niche. It was in Medicare Advantage. So this is part C. I'll explain a lot of this domain knowledge in future videos on the main channel, on the Get a Data channel, because being able to focus on healthcare analytics, I got to be in probably two very niche domains that a lot of people don't understand, and it's also revenue drivers for business. And Medicare in general, you get funding from the government. There is a lot of nuances that a lot of people don't understand, and then also being inside healthcare and being on the insurance side and just being part of managed care organizations in general, people don't understand that as well. So being able to get into healthcare analytics and to explain the domain knowledge gives me a unique advantage that other people don't have. And yeah, that other people don't have. And as I was doing more research on the accelerator, the accelerated community, and like how to deliver results, this is probably one of the best ways that I can deliver results compared to everyone else. So one of the unique things, so when you go into business and in marketing, you have to find, and then this can be anything, it could be in content, you have to find your USP. And your USP is your unique selling proposition. We'll say prop. And basically, this is, for me, going into this niche, is why do people listen to me? Why would people listen to me compared to every other expert in the field? So the channel Get a Data Job was focusing on how to become a data analyst. DA, data analyst. And when I initially did this research, channels were coming out of nowhere and growing pretty fast. But I didn't realize how saturated this market was and also how hard it is to break into data analytics given our environment right now, even though it is a growing field. So why would somebody select me out of everybody else? And part of that is my unique experience in healthcare analytics. But I didn't feature that. I didn't lean into this heavily. And then it's also the fact that I've been in healthcare for 10 plus years, 13 years counting my data temp data entry experience. And then I've been a data analyst and I've been a business analyst and now I'm a business analyst consultant, which is basically just it goes business analyst, senior, and then consultant. It's just the next step above. So I should have just leaned into analytics. And then one of the things that's lacking with people that I'm helping right now and I've seen in just candidates is they just don't have any relevant experience or they don't have business domain knowledge to be able to have better projects. So if I lean into healthcare analytics, part of me wanted is the fear that a lot of people had is like, what happens if I make myself too pigeonholed into like a small niche? But you kind of need to grow in that small niche. This is already like I thought how to become a data analyst would be a small enough niche, but I have to niche down further. And the way that you do this, excuse me, the way that you do this is there's healthcare analytics. So there's data analysts. Basically, if you work in healthcare and you're an analyst, you can be considered a healthcare analyst, but it's usually going to be like data analyst, business analyst, there's reporting analyst. It's a whole wide variety, but it falls under this title, healthcare analyst. But usually it could be under anything. It could be a data analyst working in healthcare, a business analyst working in healthcare, reporting analyst, operations analyst, process analyst, risk adjustment analyst, healthcare analyst, if that's just the title. And it goes further than that. But yeah, that is what I was thinking about. And it made more sense as I started to dig into it more. And this is also the value that I can give is I have very, very specialized knowledge and I can teach the domain knowledge in a way that makes it easier for people to break into data analytics. However, working with ChatGPT, the focus should change. And so my audience should change as well because there is a bigger TAM, which is total addressable market, in targeting healthcare workers. Because most healthcare workers, they're terrified of getting replaced by AI. A lot of people are just terrified of getting replaced by AI. And that was honestly my fear. When I first used ChatGPT and I started to code with it, I was like, this is crazy. There's some things that like would take me like I have to go Google it and then figure out how it like fits within like a whole code base and then like use it and then implementing it. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. It's okay, now I'm using it. It's now I can stay ahead of everybody else, but I can also help people stay ahead. And people who are non-technical can start to become technical. So working and like thinking things through, it's changing it from I can still serve people who want to break into data analytics, but on the healthcare side. But now my new audience is going to be healthcare workers. Because that's what I started out as. I started out in temp data entry and then worked my way up and I was learning the business as a healthcare worker. That's also one of the easier routes of me being able to help people. And then also I can teach some of the skills that because healthcare workers, one of the things that keeps them from progressing is their fear of technical skills, right? One of the ways that I started was through Access, Microsoft Access. It's the perfect stepping stone for teaching people who are non-technical how to start learning about relational databases, how to start automating things because you can start using the UI to like build queries and then it gives you the perfect launchpad for getting into SQL Server, getting into other things. And the reason why at Microsoft Access would be great to teach is because I've been using it for a long time, because healthcare moves slowly and there's a lot of legacy systems that are built in Access. And one of the reasons why is smaller offices and clinics don't have the budget to like pay for SQL Server or like servers, and and other companies, if you're in healthcare, like a healthcare worker, even if you work at a big company, you might be in a department that's just not technical. They don't have access to like a SQL. They won't have access to servers. They won't have access to the cloud. So the ways that you get around this is when projects get too complicated for Excel, you would use Access. And Access is pretty powerful in when you learn VBA, if like what you can do, especially with AI currently. So I was thinking about I can lean into teaching that, even though it's an outdated skill and a lot of more modern tech people will look down on it because like they just love to talk shit about it. But it's still an awesome tool and I still use it today, even though it's outdated. And primarily why I've started this channel is to document my whole journey in modernizing my skill set from Microsoft Access and Excel and SQL Server to more modern skill sets, learning Python, upskilling with AI, and learning more modern data science tech stacks, along with that on top of like a full developer tech stack, automation, AI, healthcare tech stack. But yeah, it was just one of those things like it's still valuable, and like when you think about it, like people still create like simple websites and they still sell that. So there's always going to be, and there's still people like coding in COBOL in like legacy systems because they were originally built in that. So there's still going to be somewhat smaller demand, but talking with ChatGPT and like narrowing things down even further, there is going to be a demand for me to be able to work with healthcare clients from having them transition from legacy systems to more modernized systems. So then that becomes, instead of becoming a weakness or perceived weakness, it becomes a strength that I can help people in departments give the option of the various automations and with AI or without AI and lightweight tools that are just built in Excel and Access if they can't install any of the complex tools that are needed to be able to run, say, a Python tool. So it gives me flexibility. So that is also why I'm leaning more heavily into this. And then one of the things wanted that brought this up was I need to hone in on my USP and then my audience. And that's also because my videos haven't been doing too well. When I started to dig into like more of the nitty-gritty details of like resume writing and some of the, if I started doing portfolio projects and tutorials, I think that would do better, at least inside my head. But then when I started to like build out like the Epic launch system or framework of like how to go from like building and from scratch to getting landing a data job, that didn't do too well and that slowed down my channel's progress significantly. And I needed to do that to have the framework to be able to coach people. But then because the views and the retention were there compared to what I was doing before, which was like more targeted towards beginners thinking of wanting to get into analytics, instead of when I went to just creating all of the trying to target specifically people who were already interviewing and had more pain. So that was also the focus, was like, okay, how do I target the right audience and make it more niche? And also, how do I stand out? Because when I started to look at people's products, I was like, it's more expensive. I'll be able to provide a different experience. And the other thing is, I'm glad that inside this field, I have the experience and the credibility to offer compared to other people, because I've been able to sit on the hiring side, so I have those insights of like the final deliberations, looking at resumes, looking at candidates who, and giving feedback on who makes it and who doesn't, on each stage of the process. So being able to just provide my own opinions with having that as like something in my back pocket, and working at a Fortune 5 company for 10 years also helps within healthcare. So it's like, okay, I need to lean into that and yeah, figure out how to make that better, and hashing out the details is what I was doing earlier. So let me see if I can find everything. So here is the single focus of what we're thinking about. So let's clear, or let's move this over. So now it's going to be, this is basically the focus. The focus now, and it still means I can still help people who want to break into data analytics, but it just means my main focus and my main avatar and my ideal customer is healthcare workers. So it's helping healthcare workers. Yeah, I apologize for my chicken scratch, but it's a feature, not a bug. Become, this is generally what the thing is. Become dangerous. If you never heard this, it's in meetings. I always hear people say, I'm not technical, but I know enough to be dangerous. So that's why I came up with that, with data and AI. So this is the focus, and it's basically healthcare workers or healthcare professionals that are drowning in manual repetitive tasks, that don't know that there's a better way, and that they can automate it with Excel, with Access, with the tools that they currently have, without having to code anything complicated. And then that can be the stepping stone into diving into healthcare analytics even further. And even if they just want to just learn like the basic automation skills, they can learn that, and that's still a value add, because if I'm helping out healthcare workers, this could be anywhere from, in my current job where I help out a bunch of pharmacists, and then I build tools to save them hours of work. And then when you think about it, you just extrapolate their hours times times like their salary, their hourly rate, and then do that in annually, then you can see the direct savings that I'm giving to my coworkers that I work with. That, so they fall under healthcare workers. It could also be pharmacy techs. It could be physician's assistants. It could be doctors who are working on spreadsheets. It could be anyone who's working inside, even in Word. You can automate and code things in Word, and you'd be surprised of how powerful it is. And with AI, how much easier it becomes to create these tools on their own. So that's why I was thinking of healthcare workers. Plus, it gives them the mobility to go upwards. So it's also not only to not get replaced, but to learn a data and AI skill set to help them make more money and get promoted and unlock higher healthcare roles. Because even as a manager, even as a non-technical manager, even as just say like a regular clinician, they can combine their analytics skill set, or combine their clinical skill set with an analytics skill set, and then transition into the admin role, like a manager, director that works with more data, works with IT more, and they get to understand how systems work at a better level. So this has a higher skill, like higher salary, money making opportunity for healthcare workers, but the pain isn't as pronounced as people who are trying to break into analytics. But still, it still works, and people can still watch the channel to gain the knowledge and still break into analytics. It's just my focus is just going to be on healthcare workers now. And without going back to school. I think that's a great promise. Without going back to school. Or let's do this. Without school. So this makes it so that I'm no longer competing in a red ocean. And what a red ocean is, this is like, there's a marketing book, I think it's Blue Ocean Strategy, but the metaphor is basically a red ocean is where there's so many competitors that it's a bloodbath and it makes the ocean red. So you want to swim over into a niche or a part of the market that's a blue ocean that has high potential and that you can become like the market leader, or you can at least go into there. You don't have to be a market leader, but you can, ideally you want to become the market leader and like the go-to expert for that specific niche, for that feature, for whatever you're serving. But you want to go into a less crowded, less competitive market so that you can survive as a business. And for like content, for your community, for what I'm building here, it makes sense. Yeah, and ChatGPT just said that I'm uniquely positioned for this, and it makes sense. I've been in healthcare for a long time. In healthcare specifically, I went from, that's where I started. I went from temp data entry to being part of a Fortune 5 company, and I have unique experience from being a data analyst, also being a business analyst, and then now being a business consultant, but also pretty much being a developer building full applications in Access and engineering things in in engineering full applications in Access and Excel and SQL Server, and then that are used by entire departments that are in a highly regulated environment. So ChatGPT made it more obvious for me to transition into this. So the new USP statement is going to be, I help healthcare workers learn simple data and AI skills so they don't get replaced, so they can make more money without going back to school. So that's a new focus. And when you're going into new focus, you're trying to, what is the transformation that you're helping people achieve? Because if you don't have that transformation, it's going to be harder to sell people on your product and understand how your product helps people and the value that you give. Luckily, that the value here is a higher salary and higher pay, and that's easy to quantify. And it's also just learning the skills. The skills itself are going to be valuable because you can have a monetary value for just learning AI ahead of everyone else. And you can just even see how much time it saves you. So luckily that is nice as well. And so it goes from the fear of not getting replaced by AI and not having a job. That's the biggest transformation, is being able to go from being overwhelmed to being confident that you're not going to have a job, or that you're going to have a job. And then getting rid of your repetitive work to automation and saving more time. And then also being stuck, capped at a role where you don't longer have any higher upside. And then when you learn these technical skills, to be able to unlock higher paying healthcare analytic paths and roles. So those are the things that I'm exploring, and it makes sense. But now the question becomes, how does this affect my content, and how does this affect the accelerator community? Because the accelerator community, I've been just trying to figure out, like, what is the focus there? Am I going to help them get experience and land their first client, or am I going to help them get their first job? And I've been just it's like, what is the classroom content I'm going to be putting into the community? So I'm still going to cover, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover analytics fundamentals, but now it's going to be through a healthcare lens. And now I get to teach Access. I love Access. Yeah, people shit on it all the time, but I love Access. And it's just because I've been building in it for so long. And to be honest, VBA learning Python now and becoming more in learning at a deeper level, it's it's another object-oriented programming language, and it's easy for me to make the transition because it feels like VBA, if that makes sense. And then teaching AI also, because they have some of these healthcare workers, and they might be just office workers too. They could just be office workers. They could be assistants. They could be coordinators. They could be office managers, temp data entry workers, other lower level analysts that want to increase their skills and just get higher paying roles. Especially with AI. If you learn AI, you could there's so many different opportunities right now of just being able to learn AI and then applying it to your skill set in your current job to make more money. So that is the focus, trying to figure out how AI shortcuts everything, how to teach that, and then also focusing on healthcare problems. Because one of the biggest things that I saw in trying to help people and then going through a bunch of different surveys, people applying, is they don't have the experience and they don't know how to build real portfolios that will apply to an industry. So then I had to create frameworks to do research into a specific industry and like how do you figure out that those projects make the most sense and they'll appeal to hiring managers. But now that I focus only on healthcare, because I know the industry and I know like specific niche in parts of the industry, I'll still be able to have a better knowledge than somebody who has general knowledge of like trying to break into analytics. So this lets me work on teach tutorials, healthcare project tutorials, domain knowledge, and ways for non-technical users to become more technical, and then also help people from scratch break into healthcare analytics. So yeah, I think it's just a better route to go towards. And but we'll see. One of the things that I learned before is that with any pivot, I'm dedicated to get a data job as just like a broad brand for 10 years. How I pivot based on like the content's doing or like the products or services that I'm offering is going to change based on like the demand of the market and how and just also how I'm enjoying the content, because some of like the broad like data analyst stuff I'm just getting bored out of my mind. Like maybe that's another reason I'm just getting bored out of my mind, and that's why I like these videos, because I don't have to worry about content too much, and I can just think out loud and work through the issues to move forward without having to like script and be finely tuned. I can just look at a camera and talk and work through what I'd be doing normally inside my head, but now I'm just documenting on camera. Plus, it's a little cool time capsule so that if anybody ever wants to work with me, they can just look through these videos and then see my thought process of like how I would structure the program or if they would enjoy working with me. And then it helps me get the reps in to become better at YouTube and at content, because I need to keep making these types of videos, but you can't just inundate the main channel with that, because then retention goes down, my discoverability will go down, the algorithm will hate me, and I'll never be found again. So I can differentiate both channels to here to be more focused on like the building and the upskilling and like the technical sides, being more like a unscripted podcast, or yeah, where I work with it, and then I think of the outline and I work through my thoughts, and then we'll see how this evolves too based on like the retention and if people are liking this. But for now, this is primarily for me just to figure things out and be accountable for it. So I hope I hope this will be valuable for anyone who gets to watch this. And if you're considering breaking into data analytics and you work in healthcare, or if you just want to break into data analytics into healthcare and you're scared of getting replaced by AI, link in the description below for the Analytics Accelerator program. Join that, and then you get to test a bunch of things that I'm working with all of the different members there to help them break into the industry faster. and more effectively. So it'll be fun as long as you like doing a lot of experiments and you take action. So it's late. It's 6:08 right now, and I need to sleep. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.